Hi everyone, this is the Promotory channel. Today we're going to take apart this gearbox. It's a Volvo gearbox and it was taken from this kind of vehicle. A subscriber asked me to repair the engine and gearbox. The engine is already disassembled and work is underway. But now I want to take apart the gearbox, see what work we have to do with it, and find out what parts we need. Alright, let's start disassembling that. First we remove the cover, then the shifting mechanism. There are some sensors and hoses at the back, so we take those apart. Remove the flange and take off the shifting cylinders. Where the multipliers are, we can see them separately. We have a filter here, so we remove the oil filter. Take off the rear cover, then split it open and take out the shafts. Remove the gears, disassemble the shafts, and then we'll inspect everything for defects. That's our scope of work. Let's begin. So, this is the splitter engagement rod. This is the splitter, the air cylinder, and with this ball, the air cylinder moves the fork to air 1. We can see it. The plastic clamp was pinched under the cover. Last time they left the clamp during the repair, but this is now part of our shifting mechanism of the gears themselves. So, as we can see, the rear cover came off right away, along with the splitter. There we see a ring, just of some gigantic size, a ring of this size. You need to take it out in order to remove the splitter from the housing. So these were the plates, they hold the shift forks. This is our oil pump with pipes. This is the intake. With a filter right away, and here the oil already goes through the system. This cover apparently just serves as an oil channel. That is, oil is supplied here under pressure, and through this slot there's also a light slot here, and it turns out that it enters through the hole already under pressure secondary shaft. So now I need to take this part apart to get to the bearing, or rather to the race, so that my secondary shaft can move over there in that direction. So I think I need to remove this oil tube first. It's like this, I tried it and it's already moving. Then unscrew this nut, then remove the sun gear, and then take off this washer as well. By the way, here are the sealing rings. So I'm taking this apart now, and then I need to figure out how to remove the rear gear, the reverse gear, and I'm already taking it out. The shafts are from the gearbox, from the housing. I disassembled the gearbox, moved the shafts, the secondary shaft in the washer, cleaned off the oil, and clamped it briefly in the vise. So now we're going to take it apart. First, we need to remove this bearing. The ring comes off, then the bearing comes off. I just don't know how I'm going to take it off. There's no way to get in there with a puller. Next, I'll need to unscrew this nut and somehow remove this gear. The main issue is removing the bearing. We actually have two bearings and this one is very tight. As we continue, we keep disassembling. There shouldn't be any more problems after that. So, what I've already noticed is, you can see the gear here, and on this gear there are these pits, so this gear will need to be replaced. You can see it clearly here. Here's a tooth with pits and here's another tooth with pits. We'll also need to clean the intermediate shaft and check the gear that works with it. Most likely it will also have pits. Taking apart the secondary shaft now, let's go. So, next, do I need to take out this ring? I've never seen rings like this before. Just for comparison, here's my hand and the size of the ring. The diameter is probably about 35-16 inches. I don't have a tool for this, so I'll try to pry it out with screwdrivers somehow. I think I really need a crowbar for this. I took out the big ring and tried to remove the demultiplier, but didn't work. I did remove the seal under the oil seal. There's another ring here, but it holds the bearing from coming out this way. So, in theory, you can use a special puller to remove the bearing. But, since I don't have that puller, move to the press, and I'm pushing on the shaft itself, meaning I'm pressing the demultiplier inward through this bearing. Then I think the demultiplier will come out now, and after that I'll flip the housing over and knock the bearing out from the other side. Or maybe I won't even touch it if we're not going to replace it. Well, it came out really quickly because I had already been pressing on it, trying it out, so to speak, on camera. Just the leftovers to show how it comes apart. So basically I've almost disassembled the demultiplier, and what do I see? Well, basically everything is in good condition. I'm not sure if this gearbox was repaired or is still factory original, but I believe it was repaired at some point. Basically everything is actually in pretty good condition. I think we'll only need to replace these cone rings. We'll keep the old ones, so basically we keep everything old. Just replace these two rings and the retainers. I think that's it. Well, that's it. Basically, I won't take it apart any further. I'll clean it. Everything here is basically in excellent condition. Alright, so I'm taking apart the cylinders, looking at the cylinder, the range switch, there's wear there, and here as well, there's a lot of wear. And this cylinder can't be replaced separately, it has to be replaced together with, well, basically it's all assembled. I don't know, we'll see if it's available somewhere. If we can buy it somewhere, then we'll order it. Okay, the gearbox is apart. Let's recap. Everything that's lying here on this table, all of it needs to be replaced. That's one gear. I'll recommend replacing all the bearings, mostly all the rings, and there are a few cones. 3, I think. Also, I'll recommend replacing the air cylinders. Since there's wear here, well, if this one obviously can be replaced with the one we have for the demultiplier, then the cylinder is the one used for engaging the splitter. It comes as an assembly together with this housing where it's installed. The shaft, well, I don't know. If we manage to find one, we'll replace it. If not, we'll leave it as it is. But there's a lot of wear here, so I don't know how it's all going to work out for us. Everything on this table is the old stuff we're keeping. I'll clean and blow it all out. So there might be some questions about the oil pump on this table, but I'll take it apart and check its condition. If necessary, we'll replace it. And also about the clutch fork shaft. We'll be replacing the bearings here as well as the oil seals. Most likely we'll have to weld up these seating areas on the shaft and machine them, basically restoring them. Well, obviously the oil seal will be replaced here. I'll be cleaning everything there, and as for the rest, everything seems to be in order. So, about the intermediate shaft, the gear that works together with the gear we're going to replace. So I looked it over, but I haven't cleaned it yet. There are some marks on it, like an imprint, but you can't feel it to the touch, so there are no pits for E. Well, I think we'll keep the old intermediate shaft E, since this gear isn't removable, it's part of the shaft E. So on this shaft only these two gears are removable, everything else is already assembled as part of the shaft. Well, I think we'll keep this intermediate shaft, or maybe as an option it might be replaced. We'll see how things go. So I'm starting the assembly. The housing is already prepared. Everything is washed, cleaned and degrazed. I've cleaned out the threads in the housing and the cover, and I've also washed the casing. All the internal parts are ready. Now I also need to polish the shaft, the secondary shaft and the primary shaft. We'll go to the lathe now and polish them. So I've already bought new parts, and now we're going to unpack them. Basically it's all standard. We unpack the new parts, assemble the splitter, assemble the secondary shaft, and assemble the primary shaft. We need to replace the bearings on the intermediate shaft, both bearings. So we'll assemble and group them, and then we'll install everything into the housing. As usual, I have CE parts from the Italian company CE on my table. Those who regularly watch my channel know that I only assemble gearboxes using these parts. I've been doing this for decades now, so let's get to unpacking and assembling. That's the scope of work we have. Let's go. Alright, I installed new bearings on the intermediate shaft. Both bearings here are the same, I've marked them. The bearing races we have, how do we know? This one's from the second bearing, this one's from the first. The first is at the bottom, so these bearings are from the shaft. I removed one, but had to use an angle grinder to cut and break apart the other. There was footage. I tried using a press, pressing it out together with the gear. Usually, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You press directly on the gear, and it comes out together with the bearing. I tried it, but the press activates the relief valve while the gear remains in place. Well, in principle, of course, I could have tried heating it up and pressing it again, but what risk do we have with that problem? So, when the gear is removed, I'll replace the bearing. Then, I just won't be able to put the gear back in place without a torch. I'll have to bring a torch, heat the gear up really well, and only then install it. Well, I decided not to do it that way. I just decided to cut it off with an angle grinder and that's it. Basically, that's also a perfectly workable option. Alright, that means my intermediate shaft is ready. I began assembling the demultiplier, but the retainers haven't arrived yet, so we don't have them. I'm waiting for the retainers to arrive in a few days before assembling the demultiplier. So what should I do now? Now I'm going to assemble the secondary shaft, as I already mentioned. I'll go to the lathe, polish it, and then assemble the secondary shaft. Basically, I can install the intermediate shaft, the secondary shaft, even close the cover there, install the primary shaft, and then install the demultiplier there the next few days, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, or in 2 days. So that's kind of from the other side of the gearbox, that's it. So that's the amount of work we have. Let's continue. So I worked here for a while without the camera. Overall, this gearbox doesn't make much sense, so at times I stopped filming. I just wanted to assemble it quickly without errors. So in a few words, I'll tell you what was done. Well, I think the last shots were of me assembling the secondary shaft. So I put everything together here, installed new bearings, tightened nut, and the secondary shaft is assembled. So now I'm figuring out how the forks should be positioned, and I've installed new sliders. I haven't assembled the demultiplier yet since I'm waiting for the retainers, and I still need to work on the clutch fork. I'm considering how to make the shaft. We have a new one, but it's a few centimeters shorter. Well, alright, we'll get to that later. It's not the time for it yet. So, about the intermediate shaft, I had to remove this bearing again. I'll explain why now. So, I also installed the race of the new bearing on the cover, and on the input shaft I replaced, or rather installed a new bearing as well. Here I assembled everything too, installed the synchronizer and the gear, and already tried fitting the forks to see how they should be positioned. So, some work has already been done on the cover as well. And now about the housing itself. As we remember, the reverse gear shouldn't be on this shaft. It should be installed, but shifted to the side, so that the bearing can pass through this opening. But I can still install the reverse gear later, after the shaft is in place, meaning after the housing is closed. But, so, what other feature do we have here? We can see that we also have this kind of shaft here, which rotates separately from the reverse gear. So, this is the oil pump drive shaft, and the housing where the gear is located. And the oil pump drive shaft, there's no other way. Yingnan at the counter, just like this. Is like this gear. So, it turns out, if I assemble the box, since nothing can be installed here, it's just completely impossible. That's why, without the bearing, the intermediate shaft goes through this wall here. I'll have to put the bearing on from the other side, and when the box is already closed. So, that's how things stand. As I already said, it's a very illogical gearbox. It's very unusual for me to assemble, even though I already have quite a lot of experience repairing gearboxes. I can say that the Volvo gearbox just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know. As I already mentioned, the Volvo engine seems like a very strange design to me, and the Volvo gearbox doesn't sit right with me either. I'm still waiting for more parts. If everything arrives today, I'll stay there until 9, 10, or maybe even 11 tonight. I'll try today, at least, to finish up Dodi's multiplier. We'll see how it goes.